Hi, and thank you for having me. So that's what happened in July last year. And I think I was part of the treatment action campaign. And something that we fought for was the importance of science in informing policy, the importance of science in health. And we know that we come from a dark era of denialism. And I think those are one of the factors that made me want to consider volunteering because of the importance of the COVID vaccine in our response to this humanitarian crisis.
So take us through, Sharon, the timelines. You volunteered towards the end of last year, June, July. Take us through the timelines and the various milestones that are to be expected from this trial.
Well, I mean, the trial meant that you could either be given, as a participant, you could either be given the actual vaccine or you could be given a placebo, and it's blind, so you don't know what you have. And as I said, I volunteered in July last year. I think I'm probably one of the most, healthy, checked up human beings in the country. I've had regular check-ins with the team at Wits University's Shandukani Research Center, very dedicated team of people checking up on my blood pressure, taking bloods. And this is together with, I think, approximately 2,000 other people who also volunteered to be on this trial, a section of whom are people living with HIV and AIDS as well. So that was regular checkups quite frequently initially. And since September, I then waited for another 3 months and went for a checkup this month with the COVID test, with all the other really thorough checkups. And I think I'm really concerned about some of the denialist voices that we're hearing and misinformation and fake news being spread, not only in South Africa, but globally. And I think that the fact that you have these trials with the kind of rigor, testing for efficacy and testing for safety, and that you had 2,000 people in South Africa who were part of this trial, and we've not heard any side effects, any dangers of that cohort is a very strong indication.
And I'd like to come in there, Sharon. You've recounted your own personal experiences, the fact that you've been healthy, and you say you're perhaps one of the healthiest people because you've been tested so often. But have you heard how the other 2,000 are doing? Are you also being kept abreast of the findings that the scientists are actually making and the medics are actually making while the process and the trials are actually ongoing?
Well, we get informed about what there's the thing called informed consent. So each one of us individually are taken through a very rigorous process of understanding, given written material being spoken in whatever language of choice, so that we are clearly making an giving informed consent to be on this trial. But I think that the results of, obviously it's a year-long trial. What I do know is that we've been fortunate, as the trial in South Africa, that they can also look at the current the new strains that have come out, and whether this variant will be its impact, the vaccine on the new strain that we're seeing in South Africa and in other parts of the world. So I think there's a lot of positive that South Africa is contributing through this vaccine trial. And I think it demonstrates the importance, as I said earlier on, about the importance of science and knowledge, and each one of us making the time and taking the effort. But we also need very good leadership, I think, from the Department of Health and from the government. There must be much more education. We need to call on organizations like the TAC, the People's Health Movement, to lead with thorough education. And that's what we did with HIV to counter denialism. And that's what we need today to make sure that everyone, including people that are documented, undocumented, it's critical. We cannot leave out any section of our population to ensure that
so Sharon, from your body, when either the placebo or the vaccine, depending on whichever one it is that you got, from the moment it entered your body, how did you feel? Were the side effects, even slight ones, from headaches? Did you notice any changes in your body at all, or was it business as usual for your body and for your health?
Look, I mean, the process and the trial required that we were very vigilant. We were given, tracking tables to register any change that we experienced. From the very start, we were given a little, piece of document to measure if there was any effect from the vaccine, where we were given the shot, whether it was a placebo or a vaccine. So everything was very, very thoroughly monitored, and I think that was made you more acutely aware. But I don't think there was any difference to the general anxiety that all of us are feeling in this country, the stress associated with getting COVID, the need to be wearing a mask continuous, and all of that was very well, thought through, information given to us about the fact that we have to continue with wearing masks, social distancing, being responsible in order to reduce a risk of infection to other people, but also to keep healthy and try and prevent ourselves from getting COVID.
And Sharon, were there any fears? Because, it's a trial, so nobody really knows what the eventual outcome will be. So even yourself, it takes a measure of blind faith to volunteer for something that you really have no idea of. Did you have any fears going in?
Look, we were informed that if you got to a stage of doing the testing on human beings, then you would have gone through quite a few stages in order to make that. And of course, there's controls in the country. I remember the Medical Controls Council. I can't remember its current name. You go under rigorous processes to make sure that you are ready to go on to trials with human beings. So I'm aware of that, and I don't think that I risked my life in being a volunteer. I think it is an important stage of science and research, but it does indicate just the collaboration to have been able to come to this point as soon as the various research institutions did, to get to a stage of human trials.
All right, Sharon, we'll leave it at that for today. Thank you so much for sharing your personal experience and sharing your journey with us, and continued good health to you. That's Sharon Ekambaram. She's a vaccine trial participant.